Oh, hey. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital Envy, my GH after show. Let's jump right into it. Dante Falconeri came face to face with his ex-wife Lulu, and then came face to face with his ex-wife Lulu's boyfriend Dustin. I'm sorry, it's Dustin. Honestly, Dante forgetting Dustin's name is kind of a mood. The dude is pretty forgettable. I mean, he hasn't really had much to do ever since Jocelyn got over her weird crush on him. Anyway, Lulu got to let out her anger on Dante, which I'm pretty okay with. I mean, he did blow up her life and left her with the wreckage of it. And I know that he was sick, but he didn't have to shove them out completely and then send her divorce papers in the mail. That was just wrong. And Lulu brought up a good point. I mean, he said that he might be gone forever, and he was gone for like a year and a half. So she probably would have waited for him if she knew that. Not that he would know a timeline, but let's be real. He would have been back probably even sooner if Dr. Obrecht wasn't conditioning him to do her bidding. Speaking of which, we did actually catch a glimpse of Dante spying on Peter. And I don't know about you, but I was under the impression that Dante might just straight up assassinate Peter. I mean, he looked in and he was like, oh, there's too many people around. So that's the impression I got. And honestly, I'd be super okay with it. I'm so used to the writers just constantly finding ways for villains to get away with things in the laziest, sloppiest ways story-wise, so I'm okay with just death at this point. And then we got to see a moment that I've been waiting for, Dante and Olivia's reunion. Of course they rocked it. Lisa Lo Cicero and Dominic Zamprogna have like the best mother-son chemistry, which is amazing considering they're only like 9 years apart in age in real life. Alright, now let's talk about Olivia's hubby Ned. Now, before Olivia reunited with Dante, she was having some not so subtle scenes at the Metro Court praising Ned for being such a good friend to Alexis. Girl, if you only knew. Alexis was pretty wasted at that reception, and did y'all see the scene where she walks up to the group and she's like, are you guys discussing religion or politics? Because this seems intense. And Sonny was like, the last thing I do is discuss politics with you. And he walks away. Now, apparently Nancy ad-libbed that line and Maurice rolled with it. If you guys know Nancy in real life, you know that she is very outspoken with her political beliefs, and I admire that about her personally. Personally, I always find it weird that people will go and tell actors to not state their opinions on politics and that they should just stick to acting, and I'm like, y'all know they're real people, right? Like, they don't have to not state their opinions just because of the job that they're in. Do you ever notice that the only people that actually say that to an actor are the people that tend to disagree with what they're saying? It's never someone on the same side as them. It's always someone with the opposite belief of them. And I'm just like, I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to cringe if you don't agree with someone's political sayings, but to tell them to keep their mouth shut, I'm just like, come on, it's social media, you guys. They're not your puppets. They're actors, they're doing a job, they're allowed to have an opinion. Maurice's part in that ad-lib line as well is kind of funny because he does keep his mouth shut. He never speaks about politics. He just stays, you know, focused on anything but, pretty much. So I thought it was a cute nod to their friendship and relationship. Anyway, rant over. As I was saying, Alexis was pretty wasted at that reception, and Sam definitely noticed. Hopefully she'll be able to pull her mother out of it. Ned is digging his grave when it comes to his relationship with Olivia and his relationship with his daughter. Monica tried to pave the way for him and Brooklyn to make amends, but instead they just got into a bigger fight and Brooklyn stormed out. And then Monica brings up his rocky marriage with Olivia, and Ned spills the beans that he slept with Alexis, and Brooklyn just happened to go back into the house because she forgot her coat and overheard Ned saying that. What she'll do with that is anyone's guess. Brooklyn is doing a bang-up job digging her own grave as well. I mean, this week, Deception had a meeting with a big sponsor with Lucy and Sasha and Brooklyn. Maxie wasn't there. We'll get into why later, but that meeting was disastrous from start to finish. First, Sasha shows up looking like death warmed over, and then when Lucy makes her up, when Sasha is giving the presentation, she is fumbling her words, she is shaking while putting the lipstick on. It was just horrible. And then when Lucy tries to play the song that has Amy's voice on the computer for that sponsor, it doesn't work. So Lucy's like, well, Brooklyn can sing it live. And so Brooklyn thought it would be a great idea for Amy to go to a different room and sing through the Bluetooth while Brooklyn lip syncs. And of course, Chase shows up while she's doing it, and the whole deception is ruined. At least the company is living up to its name. But yeah, long story short, Lucy fired Brooklyn. Alright, now let's talk about Maxie. So the reason why she wasn't at the deception meeting is because she had a doctor's appointment to see if the baby would have the same disease that Faison had. I can't remember what that disease was, but either way, the baby doesn't have it. Britt was the one that gave Maxie the test results, which Maxie wasn't too happy about. I honestly almost forgot that Peter and Britt are technically brother and sister. But anyway, Maxie was so distracted by her rose-colored glasses that she wears for Peter that she soon forgot about Britt and decided to propose to Peter. Blech. Now obviously Robert and Spinelli couldn't stomach the news either, and Maxie was not impressed with Spinelli being very obviously against their marriage. But like, what do you expect, Maxie? But Robert pulls Spinelli to the side and he says, maybe just play nice until I can get evidence against him. Obviously, Maxie's gonna marry him whether we're happy or not. Just keep your relationship intact and just be there for when the rug gets pulled out from under her. Spinelli complies and apologizes to Maxie and Peter, and everything's okay on that front. Earlier that night, Mac confronted Robert about his suspicions towards Peter. I'm surprised that Mac pretty much believes that Peter is a good guy, but he did say to Robert that if there is anything that comes to light about Peter, that he would be the first to help him take him down, which I was like, yes, I hope it happens, but if not, Robert, just let Dante kill him. Just let him kill him. It's fine. Anna seems to be worried that Peter will throw his whole life away should he find out that Alex is his mother. Girl, he doesn't know and he's still doing shady shit. It doesn't matter if you tell him or not. He is still a bad person one way or the other, so I don't know what to tell you. Anna did confess to Valentine that there is a good chance that Alex is Peter's mom, and Valentine was relieved. He's like, obviously she is. I'm so glad I couldn't really betray you. I'm like, dude, you still took her nephew from a good loving family and threw him in the arms of Faison, so either way, you're still a pretty bad guy. Not that I have any use for Peter, but he would be a very different man if you just left him with that family to begin with. Now let's quickly talk about the family with endless last names, Templeton, Chase, Finn, whatever they are, that group. So Finn is still very reluctant to become close with Jackie Templeton. I really want to know what happened between them. I've heard some speculations and spoilers. I don't know which is which, so I'm not going to say anything, but leave down below in the comments what you think is going on between Jackie and Finn. Robert did warn Jackie not to work with Peter, but she decided to work with him anyway, probably just to spite Robert. But I feel like since she is a reporter, she'll probably do some digging on her own, and if she finds anything, she'll probably bring it to Robert, but I don't know if she will. Between her issues with her stepson and working on the Cyrus storyline, she might be a little bit too busy to figure out Peter, you know? Since I brought up Cyrus, let's quickly talk about Sonny and Jason's plan to bring Cyrus down. Now, at Mike's reception, Cyrus showed up to give his condolences and stroke his own ego. Brando was there, and then Jordan shows up and wants to question Brando more about the sabotage bike, and Brando throws a tantrum, obviously a fake one, to kind of set something in motion to make it seem like maybe he has no help with Sonny so that he can get in with Cyrus, and I think it's working. By the way, Gladys, Brando's mother, was there, and she was mad that Sonny didn't lift a finger to help Brando either, and of course later on, Gladys ran into Cyrus, who introduced himself and said, if you ever need anything, let me know. I actually thought at the beginning of the whole Brando and Gladys situation that Brando and Gladys were working with Cyrus. So I guess this proves that they weren't. It's just weird, right? The timing of Brando showing up, but he really does seem to be on the up and up. So I don't know, who knows? All right, let's quickly discuss the dynamics between Ava and Nicholas and Franco and Liz and Ryan and Julian and all that. So basically, Ava is determined to not divorce Nicholas, and she tries to persuade Ryan on changing the deal, but he won't budge. Ryan states, if you do not divorce Nicholas, I will send that letter to Sonny that implicates Julian, and he will be in a heap of trouble. Soon after that, Scotty collects the checks from Ava and Nicholas, and then brings it to Franco and Elizabeth, and I guess Liz nagged Franco enough that they decided to rip those checks up and walk away. I'm like, what was the point of that story? But then Ava just happened to walk by as the checks are being ripped, and she picks up a piece that has Nicholas Cassadine's signature on it, and I don't know if she's going to put two and two together that Nicholas might have also been blackmailed, but I think that she's probably going to use that signature in some way to fool Ryan into thinking that he signed divorce papers. Maybe, we'll see. All right, let's quickly discuss the teens. Now, as you guys know, Dev Dunn stole Jocelyn's diary, and it turns out that he's going to use that diary to manipulate his friends. Dev, I thought you were a good person. This sucks. Now, Dev is already aware that Jocelyn no longer writes in that diary, but no one else is, so he takes that diary to Cameron, and he had written in it about the kiss that they shared on the boat and how awkward it was, and manipulates Cameron into thinking that Jocelyn is not interested in him. Personally, I'm okay with that because I want Cameron to be with Trina, so I'm okay with Dev kind of pushing them together, but it's still wrong. It's still wrong, Dev. Shame on you. But that pretty much covers it with GH. I mean, the only other point that I can bring up is that Nina is going to make sure that Nell has a proper burial because Julian couldn't be bothered. I'm just kind of like, we all know that Nell isn't dead. That is not Nell's body. No one ID'd. I don't know where Chase heard that there was a positive ID when literally no one in her life actually positively ID'd her, but whatever. I mean, she's going to come back at any time now. Probably, actually no, to be fair, it'll probably be months, but we know she's coming back. It's just so pointless. I still want Willow to be Nina's daughter instead. Anyway, that wraps up General Hospital Envy this week. I want to give a shout out to everyone that joins in on the live chats when these videos premiere. If you guys want to join in the live chat, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. If you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Only subscribe if you want to though. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace out. Let me hold